Welcome back to the Big Rand Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, recently, JD Vance, the vice presidential nominee for the Republican Party, basically said that women should be baby factories, right? Saying that women that don't have children should not be able to vote. Are you kidding me? This is really what this man had to say. Now, his spokesperson has tried to walk it back a little, saying, "Oh, he didn't mean women that are infertile, just the ones that can have children and choose not to." Well, here's the thing. There are only a few there are a few reasons why a woman would choose not to have a baby, and not one of them is your business. The choice to or not to have a child is a choice for that woman to make, not anybody else. No man, no woman, no nobody. So the fact that people like JD Vance have these views, it's disgusting. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why? Why would you even say such a thing? Women with or without kids have just as much right to vote as anybody else in this country. And I'm so sick of men, especially, telling women what they can and can't do. The misogyny runs deep in this world, especially in this country, and especially within the MAGA movement. It's absolutely disgusting. JD Vance himself is he's just one terrible pile of crap when it comes right down to it. He started off by making a supposed anti-opioid or anti-drug nonprofit, and then raised like $250,000 for that nonprofit, and then did absolutely nothing for people actually suffering from addiction or to prevent addiction. What he did is hire himself some advisors to help him start his political campaign. So many things about JD Vance just don't mesh, right? He says he's from Appalachia. He's not. He's from at least a good 45 to 100 miles away from that region of the country. At least that's where he was born. Well outside of that area. He claimed that illegal immigrants are the reason his mother died of drug overdose. But his mom, according to the reports I have seen, did not get her drugs from somebody selling it from across the border. No, she was stealing drugs from prescriptions as a nurse in the hospital she worked at. She was stealing medications, and that led to her dying, which is absolutely tragic. But it is not the same thing as if somebody came across the border. It doesn't make any sense to me that people like this lie all the time about everything, and then they say such despicable things about women as well. And there are people out there that want this guy to be vice president. But hell, you could tell by watching Donald Trump react to JD Vance's speech that he already knew he messed up. Not to mention the reporting last week that came out that Trump apparently picked JD Vance because Tucker Carlson said if he didn't, that Trump would probably be assassinated. I mean, Trump is a terrible person, but JD Vance is worse. He literally brings the tick to politics. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with a woman choosing not to have children. And there's nothing wrong with a woman choosing to have children. That's a personal choice. And no one person, especially no man, should get to dictate if a woman has any worth just because she doesn't have a child. How in the world can you sit there and just say things like that and think there's going to be no repercussions? These are things I don't understand in this world. I'll never understand men who think that they can control what women do. I believe every woman deserves to vote. Did they forget that their party, the Republican Party, is the reason women have the right to vote? Now, granted, when they got women the right to vote, they figured that they would vote with their husbands. And a lot of times back then, their husbands were Republicans. So they thought for sure the women would just tag along with their husbands and vote exactly like them. Back then, they never thought that women would have a movement for, their rights to exist outside of the realm of being controlled by a man. They had no idea that women's lib was going to happen. So they thought for sure women would just be subservient and vote however their husbands told them to. Therefore, they'd have a block of voters that could never be beat. But luckily, women were able to gain more rights after that. For women to be able to, it's only been like 50 years since women were allowed to have a credit card in their own name without their husband's approval. These are things that Republicans, especially on the far right, are terrified of. They are absolutely terrified of women that are strong and educated. They are terrified of women, especially strong, educated women. But this isn't because their views are right. This is just a dying party, a dying way of thinking. And it's making a hell of a lot of noise on its way out. Most of the younger generation do not think that way. Now, granted, there are some that do. And that's terrifying to me. But at the same time, it's a dying breed, right? These people are not the majority anymore. These hateful people have done nothing but try to tear down Kamala Harris ever since it was announced that she would be the nomination for the Democratic Party. Saying she's not born, or she's not an American citizen because her parents weren't from here. Well, guess what? All it takes is to be born here to be an American citizen. That's it. It doesn't matter where your parents are from. Whether you like it or not, birthright citizenship is a thing. And Kamala Harris was born here. I believe in Oakland, California. She grew up, went to college, graduated college, got her JD at, I believe, San Francisco Law School. I think it, I forget what its name is actually now. I've had a few friends that have gone through law school, and let me tell you, it takes a smart person to get through that stuff. My best friend went to law school, and I remember the phone calls of how hard it was to get through. But the resolve and strength it takes to not only get through that, but then also pass the bar exam, to become a prosecutor. And we'll have more on Kamala Harris next week. But JD Vance and his ilk, they're not the majority of this country. They're not the majority of this world. But they are a group of people who know their time has come. And yeah, are we ever going to get rid of all misogyny in this world? Probably not. Not in my lifetime. But you know what? It's going to die out to the point that we don't have to deal with it as much. Is that 25 years from now, 50 years from now? I don't know. But in the future, these people are going to die out. Because the majority of these people that hold these views are Donald Trump's age or around his age. I was raised by two very strong-willed and intelligent women, my grandmother and my mother. Two of the strongest women I have ever known in my life. And I see the qualities of my mother and my grandmother and their will to survive and to thrive in a man's dominated world. And then to hear people like JD Vance single out childless mothers and single mothers as if there's some kind of plague to this country absolutely sickens me. From 13 on, I was with my mother, and she was a single mother after my mom and dad divorced. But she did everything to make sure my life was good, even when we had nothing. Even when our water was getting turned off because we were having a hard time financially. We continued. My mom thrived. She pushed through and made a success of herself. Not because anyone gave it to her, but because she was strong-willed and a strong, intelligent woman. So whenever you hear people talking down to single mothers, to childless women, they're talking down to all women. What they're telling you is that women can only be baby factories. And that's not what women are. Women are so much more than just if they have a child or not, or their ability to have a child or not. These same people like JD Vance are also, though, saying childless women, are evil, but then they're taking things away like IVF and other fertility treatments. They want to ban those. So which is it? Here's the thing. I believe women have the right to make their own choices on if they're going to have children. They can make that decision, I suppose, with their husbands or boyfriends or whoever their partners are. But at the end of the day, it's their decision whether or not they're going to have children. So to the JD Vances of the world, you are terrible people. I myself stand with, as some of you have referred to, the crazy cat women or cat ladies. Because to be completely honest with you, cats are better than men. Any day of the week. Any day of the week. I would choose a cat over a man any day. But here at the Big Ranch Show, we stand with the women of America. We support their rights and their ability to make their own choices about their own lives. Whether it be to have children, to not have children, be a stay-at-home mom, have a career. Whatever they want to do. There's no reason to try and dictate what women can and can't be. If they want to have children, then they'll have children. If they don't want to have children, then they won't. At the end of the day, if you were born with male parts, I don't think you have a right to say a damn thing about what they do. So take it for what it's worth, right? This is just my opinion. But I am so sick of people like JD Vance who want to run down women because they're not living the lives they want them to. Because not only is he running down, your maybe your mother or your grandmother, but it's also an attack on your sister. It's an attack on your spouse, right? My wife chose not to have kids, mostly because of our financial situation. But that was her choice to make, right? Our daughter is our dog. And we're perfectly happy with that. My wife's happy. I'm happy. Our dog's happy. So there's nothing wrong with women choosing not to have children. If that's what they want to do, that's their decision. Just like it is for them to have kids. Anyhow, this has been the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you down the road.